James that is you, okay. James said, dude, that shit is going to blow up in the opposition's face sooner or later. If it keeps up, this culture war shit, like retaliation of the highest caliber, that will be absolutely equally horrifying. Yeah. This current state of constant escalation cannot continue. it will reach a head at some point, and all of these years of us enduring it is going to come about as the impetus for which side it gets the upper hand. This is something, obviously, that discussed with Scrump and Aiden, and they disagree, and I respect that disagreement, but I do still strongly believe that this is all part of identifiable cycles, and that it's not so much that the will of the people itself changes things, but that the will of the people, or at least the tacit consent of the people, is required to allow either a small group or perhaps a large group to change things definitively. And adjusting the culture is, I think, the platform on which that change ultimately occurs. The point of actual physical switching of those who are in power is, frankly, the less important part of it, and it'll happen naturally as soon as the culture itself has been made aware of these problems, and to a large extent it has. The shift from indifference to the public agreeing on a raft of ideas which could be identified as MAGA or pro-Brexit ideas, now, by a majority, is a significant change in the last 10 years, which is the result of seeing this shit in action. And I do believe that, I don't know exactly when, I've been predicting it will happen eventually for a while, but I expect within the next 10 years, you will see an identifiable switch of power. I don't know exactly when, though. It could be in Trump's next term, because he can do a lot from the executive position, a lot. And I don't buy that the establishment are willing to let him in. I think they're going to do everything they possibly can to prevent it. And every bit of evidence I'm seeing about what they're doing now indicates that, yeah, they're going to prevent it because they cannot handle him getting in again. So, hear out Scrump and Aiden, obviously, and their disagreements. But I do want to reinforce that I do strongly disagree on these matters. And I think not only do I think I'm correct on this stuff, but I think the optimistic path in general is much more helpful to everyone. I do want to also reinforce what I said about there are 3 things that you can do to pursue an end to the culture war, or 3 things that you can do about the culture war. One is curative means, which is what I'm trying to do, trying to repair the system with the hope that it can get better, the somewhat optimistic route, the curative route. 2 is cowardice, you don't do anything. And 3 is organize violence. I don't see that there are any other options besides those. Now, obviously, you can do things which support. You don't have to directly do the curative stuff or the violent stuff, just to support it. But this is why I said, why aren't you out there killing politicians? Not my real belief. It's just the thought experiment that if you're not trying to help, then you should be trying to end this as quickly as possible with maximum violence. But Scrump is trying to help. He's doing the Nomos events, which I think are a good idea. He's doing other things, going on people's streams as well, and generally advocating for good ideas, what he thinks are good ideas. That is curative. He does, in fact, pursue the path you would pursue if you still have hope, but he keeps saying he doesn't. And Aiden, very similarly, is trying to educate people. Now, with Aiden, it might be more so that that's her obsession, which is, it's good, but in effect, it's curative. So she's still aiding the optimistic path. Neither of them are trying to organize violence, which is in line with what they claim to believe. Yeah, because you can certainly say there are gradations between, but it has to be one of the 3 to, like, this is the primary thing. You can have a mix, I suppose, but it has to be one of the 3. And I don't see any indication that Scrump or Aiden are trying to organize violence, which, as far as what they say implies, that is the only alternative. And Scrump talks about parallelism. Well, Scrump, that is curative. That is part of what I'm advocating for as well. Anyway, I'll stop, because even though I don't necessarily mind discussing other people's ideas while they're not here, like I will do that a bit less when they're friends that I respect. But it's a useful steel man to put up as an opponent to my ideas that otherwise I would just be arguing against the ideas themselves rather than the people that hold them. The hold them are a good example.